past, research on how our emotions work has been fragmented or out of date. But thanks to researchers from around the world, the way we understand and talk about our feelings is becoming more universal. One of those researchers is University of Louisville professor Dr. Brendan Depew. He says studying the nuances of emotions across different cultures is key to understanding the human brain.
Some of the very first kind of categorical understanding of emotion was based on facial expression, especially that these facial expressions were all based on Caucasian, middle-aged Americans, as opposed to understanding it from a greater kind of cultural perspective. And it was a great start, but now we're understanding that, that categorical representation might need to be broadened. So the Human Affectome Project is a conglomeration of over 100 international researchers that look to classify emotions in categorical ways and to understand how our linguistic representation of them is kind of categorized. So one of the interesting things and a good example about how our language influences our emotion or vice versa. It's easy to see when we get emotional, our pitch may differ in prosody, look over there versus look over there. And so understanding and perceiving how somebody might say something, definitely our interpretation of that affects our own emotion. I was on the fear team because a lot of my research examines fear and anxiety. And so my role was basically looking at the functional neuroimaging research that lies behind fear and looking at it from different rodent models, different human models, and kind of put some consensus together as how it's represented in the brain. So some of the results of this project, how linguistics basically represents different emotional categories, and especially how this cuts across cultural and societal lines. In different cultures and different societies, we talk about maybe things like friendship or being embarrassed, which might differ somewhat from culture to culture. But looking at things that are also shared across culture and society, so like things like fear, sadness, anger, things like that are kind of more of these basic emotions that cut across cultural lines. It's very interesting to understand through this linguistic approach that the words you use and say obviously carry weight depending on how somebody perceives it emotionally. And so it gives a great understanding for further research to be done and just a deeper understanding of the human psyche.
Dr.